Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and every week we take a close look at what's happening to the real estate market here in the Villages. For those who don't know, the Villages is a 55 plus community. We've got live entertainment 4 nights of the week spread throughout the Villages. There's recreation, shopping, dining, social clubs, too numerous to mention. And if you want to know what long term trends are on prices, price per square foot, where the activity is taking place, this is the show for you. I will narrow the villages down into different geographic areas and show you where the activity is taking place and what the price differences are between them. A couple of things to note. The villages has two separate real estate marketplaces, VLS and MLS. The VLS is the village's own internal listing service. It's the only marketplace on which you'll find new homes listed, but pre-owned homes are available both on MLS and VLS. What this means is that if you're a buyer, you need to see properties both on MLS and VLS. If you only look in one marketplace, you will only be seeing about half of the properties available for sale. Second point is that we produce this show every Monday. Make sure you check the date to ensure you're getting the most recent information. If you find the information valuable, please consider liking the video or even better, subscribing to the channel. Really helps us with YouTube. And if you need to reach me, I can be reached either at davidisinflorida@gmail.com or davidisinflorida.com. If you're a buyer and you're trying to find a good deal, I think you'll find our data-driven approach will help you find one. And if you're a seller, similarly, I think you'll find our approach will help you justify the highest reasonable asking price. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at what's happening here this week. We start every week by taking a look at what's happening with interest rates. Since real estate is generally financed, although the Villages is primarily cash buyers, most of them are selling properties elsewhere to get the cash to buy here. So the price they're able to pay is ultimately reliant upon interest rates to some extent. What we're looking at here is the yield on the US 10-year note. The 30-year mortgage most closely tracks this yield. And you can see that we are solidly above 4% again on the 10-year. It's anybody's guess as to the direction of interest rates from here, but I would caution you about listening to anybody who is convinced that rates are headed lower from here. Now let's look at the real estate market specifically in the villages. I'm going to start by orienting those of you who don't know where the villages is. We're located in central Florida. We're about an hour north of Orlando, about an hour and a half from coasts to the east and west. The maps you're looking at are showing you all active listings as of today on the MLS. The map is showing you all properties with the size of the property indicated by the size of the circle, and the color of the circle represents its price per square foot. The lighter the circle, the more expensive per square foot. And even though we focus primarily on dollars per square foot as a metric here, it's important to note that here in the villages, there are other factors that are very important in terms of value. Things that are highly prized here include location, views, and especially privacy. So let's start by looking at total listings, which this week number 698. This is down slightly from last week, even though there were more new listings than homes going pending. Properties are withdrawn, cancelled, etc., which accounts for the disparity. But you can see that we're still at the highs and about 75% more listings than the same period last year. Now let's look at how long these properties have been on the market. This is the median time on the market for all MLS listings as of today. We're up to 60 days. And I pointed in the past to the fact that a median time of over 50 days was very rare until about 8 months ago. And now it appears that 50 days or more might be more normal. This is the median price per square foot for all MLS listings as of today. We're down to 252.84. This chart is obviously showing you that since we started the show about 3 years ago, the median price per square foot has been dropping consistently. This is the lowest level that we've seen since we started the show about 3 years ago. We're down to 252.84. Last week we were holding above 255, and the recent drop does appear dramatic. I'm going to show you the differences between the different regions of the villages. I've divided the villages into 4 geographic areas. The first is the area that I'm calling the north. Once again, these maps are showing you all active listings in the areas. The size of the circle denotes the size of the property, and the color represents its price per square foot. The lighter the color, the more expensive per square foot. The north is the area south of 42 and north of 466 and includes Spanish Springs Town Square. This is also the oldest part of the villages. Second area is the area I'm calling the mid-north. This is everything south of 466 and north of 466A. Probably still among the most popular areas in the villages because of its proximity to so many amenities. This area includes Lake Sumter Town Square. Third area is the area I'm referring to as the Mid-South. This is everything south of 466A and north of Highway 44. And this area includes Brownwood Town Square, an increasingly popular area here. And the fourth area is the area that I'm calling the South. This is everything south of 44. This is the direction that the villages is growing in. You will find an increasing number of listings in the South. 3 years ago, there were virtually no properties for sale in this area, and now it's becoming one of the more active areas. So let's take a closer look at the differences between the regions. First, let's start by looking at the villages as a whole. This week, 697 active listings. Sizes range from 828 square feet to 4,987, with 1,527 square feet being the median. Prices in the villages this week range from 125,000 to 1,489,000, with 379,000 being the median. And on a per foot basis, prices range from 104 to 513, with 253 being the median. Now I'll show you how the different regions compare. Obviously, you can pause the video if you want to examine this in more detail, but what you're looking at is how many listings are in each of the four regions, what the size ranges are. You can see the smallest, largest, and median size. Similarly, the least expensive, most expensive, and median price for each of the four areas, and on a per foot basis similarly. So for example, in the north, 283 active listings this week, in the south, 114. Sizes in the north range from 833 square feet to 2959, with 1392 square feet being the median. In the south, 828 square feet to 2930, with 1589 square feet being the median. This graph gives you a good idea as to how old homes are in various parts of the villages. So, for example, you can see to the right the entirety of the villages, the year of construction, and how many homes are available in each of those segments. The north, middle, south, and south are to the left, and it becomes evident that in the north, construction began in the 80s and pretty much ended around 2000. In the middle north, construction was between 2000 and 2010. Middle South was built out between 2010 and 2020, and in the South, construction really only began in 2020. For those of you who are buyers, this may be interesting. Here we're looking at all active listings this week that have been in the market for 6 months or longer. If you're a buyer, this might be a good place to start, looking for sellers more willing to negotiate. One last look at the differences between the regions before we move on to sales and pending home sales. You can see here how many active listings there are, how many homes went pending in the last 60 days, and how many homes sold in the last 60 days for each of the four regions. If the number is greater than the previous week, it's highlighted in green. If it is lower than the previous week, it's highlighted in red. When we look at pending home sales and homes that sold, generally, we're looking at the last 7 days, but this particular table is showing you the last 60 days for homes going pending and homes selling. Now, let's look at what changed last week. We're looking at how many new listings and how many homes went pending last week. The graph you're looking at is a 4-week average, but the direction seems clear. We've been seeing more new listings than homes going pending for at least the last 4 or 5 months. And the difference between the two appears to be widening yet again. I'm going to show you the actual weekly data. The 1475 is a 4-week average. These are the actual weekly data points. We're looking at the difference between new listings and homes going pending. Negative 16, i.e. 16 more listings than homes going pending. This is last week. Any readings below zero indicate more listings than homes going pending, i.e. increasing inventory. And it seems as if it's been a while since we've seen more homes going pending than listings. Here we're looking at how long the homes that went pending over the last week were on the market before going pending. The graph is a smooth 4-week average, as is the 46-day data point. 46 days on the market, the median time. It doesn't appear as if this is going to be dropping anytime soon. As a matter of fact, it started rising again just recently. We'll keep looking at pending home sales. Once again, this is homes going pending over the last week. Median price per square foot, 247.03. This is the lowest number that we've seen since we started doing the show 3 years ago. Here we look at the homes that went pending over the last 7 days and what the median price decrease was for those homes from the original asking price. 6.35% is the median discount that was offered by sellers for the homes going pending. We are still elevated above 6%, and you can see that previously when we were above 6%, the reductions trended back towards 4. I don't know if that's going to be happening going forward. With the level of inventory, it seems unlikely. Now let's look at the homes that closed last week. The number is 40 and a quarter. This is a 4-week average, and it is exactly in line with what we would expect based on the prior years. I'll show you how to compare that to prior years. I've got a graph coming up in a moment, and I'll comment on that when we get there. But we are seeing elevated levels of sales now, as we would expect for this time of year. This is how long the homes that closed last week were on the market, i.e., before they went pending. 34 days, the median time. Once again, this is a 4-week average, as is the 34 days. And it's encouraging, at least on this graph, to see that time on the market for homes closing is towards the lower end of the range. This is the price per square foot for the homes closing over the last 7 days, the median price per foot, that is. The 4-week average is 243.50. We are at the lower end of the range here. And I hate to belabor the point, but with the level of inventory that we're seeing, it's hard to imagine that price per foot is going to be rising anytime soon here. So let's look at sales per week and get some perspective as to how that compares to previous years. You can see 2022, the dark blue line, 2023, the light green line, 2024, the red line. Series 4, which should be 2025, is the light blue line. You can see that we have been very closely matching the levels of 2024, but with inventory about 75% higher than it was a year ago, the same level of sales as a year ago is not going to help very much with the inventory overhang. This is a smooth 4-week average of the same data I just showed you. You can see that sales per week are very closely tracking the levels of 2024. And I would expect that they would continue to do so. Looking at this graph, it appears that sales activity will continue to decline through the third quarter of this year. Here we keep track of weeks of inventory. This is just number of listings divided by number of sales on a week-by-week basis. We're at 14 weeks of inventory, just between 3 and 4 months of inventory. Pretty much a normal level here. But as I pointed out earlier, historically, sales activity has declined in the middle part of the year. To give you some perspective on prices and price per square foot, I've divided asking prices into price buckets. You can see that in the sub $200,000 price range, the least expensive on a per square foot basis is 104. Most expensive is 195, with 167 a square foot being the median, and there are 15 homes for sale in that price range. The most active segment, the $200,000 to $400,000 range, $134 a foot to $353 a foot, with $242 a foot being the median, and there are 389 properties available for sale this week in this price range. And here we look at all listings, and we look at what percentage of them have reduced their asking price from the original asking price. We're at 60.74%. It's been very rare to see readings of 60% or higher. It occurred just briefly in the past. We seem to be solidly in that area now, and it's been that way for a month or so. At the beginning of the year, the percentage of properties that had reduced their asking price from the original asking price was less than half. And as I said before, we're approaching 2/3 of properties now. Here we look at what the actual reduction from the original asking price was. Median price reduction for all MLS listings this week is a 4.77% price reduction. Similar to the percentage of listings that have reduced their asking price, you can see that the amount of discount offered has similarly increased this year from closer to 3.5% to closer to 5%. If you're a buyer and you're trying to find a good deal here, please consider reaching out to me at DavidisinFlorida.com or DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. Be happy to research properties for you. Similarly, if you're a seller and you're trying to decide between listing on MLS or on VLS, I'd be happy to consult with you and give you my thoughts. And if you have any questions generally about life in Florida or life in the villages, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. One last time, DavidisinFlorida.com or DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you. Take care.